Hello YouTube, coming to you with patch 4.16 for SMITE. A couple hours after the patch notes video has ended, I tried to do this video right after it ended, but SmiteGame.com was giving me a little bit of trouble and it wasn't loading the patch notes, so just kind of had to wait. But anyways, right into the patch notes. Summer Knockout, great skin right there. We're going to go right into it. Barely Buzzed Bacchus, fantastic skin, best one of this patch. Got Ratatasker down there, got Cupid up there, but it's a very cartoony skin. It's one of the, I think it's the first cartoony skin that they've done, but they did a very good job with it. It looks fantastic in game. I think it's tier 3. It has a voice pack, but the abilities, no, the abilities are all changed as well. Anyway, it's a fantastic skin. As for the voice pack,
I'm not clumsy. Pandas are clumsy.
it's a pretty good voice pack. Has some pretty good lines. That's not one of his best ones, but he has some good lines. Kokolin, getting a Baywatch skin, spelled incorrectly in my opinion. Looking pretty good. He's got some expensive electronic headphones on while surfing in water. So while his brawn is definitely there, I don't know what's up here, what's in his brain. But yeah, decent skin. Fire Dancer X Ball looks pretty dang good. The way his one works, or his just animation works, the fire works pretty well with his one. It's either on fire or not on fire. Either way, it looks pretty cool. He's got a blow tiki gun in the back there, and just looks pretty cool. I don't think I did Kokolin voice pack now that I'm realizing that I need to do X balls, but here it is.
I built that beach a sandcastle. Beaches love sandcastles.
Decent pun. Decent pun.
How do you make a fire dance better? You can't. It's already lit, baby.
Pretty good voice line. I think lots of people are gonna cringe at that. I thought it was pretty dang good. As for Terra, Dropkick Terra, wrestler skin. It comes in a bundle or a chest with some wrestler themed things. I think a ward skin and something else, global emote, I think. But pretty good skin. Her hair is very pink. Her hair actually looks really good in game. But her abilities, I think, are what stands out in this skin. Her walls are like cinder blocks stacked up with like graffiti Terra on them. Looks pretty good. Her 3 is a boxing ring with a punching bag in the middle of it. Just really cool animations, or not animations, but effects on her abilities. So.
Hello? 911? Yeah, I'd like to report a robbery. Looks like Tara stole the show! Haha! Booyah!
Pretty good voice back there. Zenyatta Vimana, or sorry, excuse me, Serenity Vimana, robotic. Looks pretty cool. The umbrella actually is kind of the coolest thing here. But really cool skin. Not a whole lot to say about it. Just kind of robotic with a robe. But the voice pack is not exactly what I expected, but it's pretty cool.
It is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Then the victory is yours. It cannot be taken from you.
Pretty long example there, but I mean it did the voice pack pretty well. Ganesh gets the skin. It looks better in game than it does in here. This kind of looks pink and it's quite red in game. And this doesn't do the skulls justice, I don't think. There's more skulls on the back, but it looks pretty good in game. I'm not going to say it's her best. I'm saying her. I'm not gonna say it's his best skin, but it's a pretty good one. I think it's his best skin. I really need to not do that. No voice pack, just the tier 2 though. So just direct purchase as it says here. RTO gets her mastery skins. They have the bear facing a little odd here. The card art that they showed us in the VOD is the bear just kind of standing straight, and I think it looks better. The reflection of it is it represents it better that it's a stance switcher. But she's some of the coolest mastery skins I think that she's had that have come out in a while. The legendary one, of course, that's the best one, as always is pretty cool. The black bear looks pretty decent. So, RDO mastery skins. Lots of people, because she's overpowered, have like already gotten her to diamond and stuff, so they'll be happy. Burly Buzz Bacchus VXG. That's just an emote, I think. I'm not actually sure what VXG stands for, but it looks pretty cool. You could do it while moving, so it looks like he's running away from bees. It's pretty cool. Pretty good looking. Xbalanque dance. They didn't show it to us, but I'm sure it's fantastic. This is the bundle I was talking about with the Dropkick Terra skin. Ward skin. Very large ward skin. Dropkick, cutesy Dropkick avatar. Wrestling bell, global emote. Yeah, global emote. All looking pretty good. Nothing crazy good. It's only 450 gems, but all worth. Oh, I think it's worth 450 gems for those that have them at least. Project Olympus. This is the third patch in Project Olympus. I believe it's the last one. Beginning of the mid-season patch, they said this is going to be split over 3 patches. It's going to be called Project Olympus, and this is the third one, the last one. This one's pretty big, integrated voice chat. It's been something that people have been asking for since I started playing SMITE. But it's only in custom games and ranked modes. So casual games, you're not going to have someone screaming at you because you didn't rotate to duo lane as a jungler at 2 minutes. So yeah, it's something that needed to be added, but I'm actually kind of glad they didn't put it into casuals. I mean, if you want to talk to people in casuals, most of the time they're your friends, and you could just go on Discord or something with them. So I think it's the right choice, actually. So yeah, the Learn tab glossary for new people. Hooray! That actually probably would have helped me when I started with MOBAs. Fire Giant no longer spawn pools under pets. That's actually pretty big, especially since quite a few gods got some of their spawnables changed to pets. That was kind of a theme in this bug fixes area here. So this is good. That means that like a Bastet who ults Fire Giant right before the lava pools come out, it won't spawn 3 lava pools directly under them, and they will instantly die because they take damage from all 3. So that's good. That's kind of giving them a buff when earlier this season they took them down a notch by removing the removal of backdoor protections on towers and phoenixes. So that's good. I think it's a good change. Duel increased the amount of bans while drafting from 6 to 8. From what I understand, high level duels were basically the same 10 gods, and it just mattered which 6 you banned, and then you had a choice of 4 basically. And that's rough estimates. With patches, things kind of changed a little bit, but I think that with 8 gods that you can ban, it will diversify what is played in duel and what is considered good. So good change. I think most of the duel people have been asking for this, so I think it's good that they gave it to them, since I mean that's who plays duel, right? So as for miscellaneous, this sounded a lot like a game happening, like a queue popping, and so people would run back to their computers to find out it was just a tip, and so they changed that. Just quality of life. Bug fixes, description update, hooray. Arachne, this won't do anything really, except for to like Loki or the Morgan, where the web that follows them is actually going to matter. And like I said, she gets a pet for her broodlings. Ganesh, this is kind of cool. This will not display to your teammates. It will only give it to you as the Ganesh player. I think it's pretty cool. You don't have to mentally keep track now or pay attention exactly when it happens to see at the top if it was bestowed or not. And if you still get 0 kills somehow, then you could hide that from your teammates and they'll never have to know. Kuzumbo, pet. Loki, pet. Raijin, still trash, still broken. They're fixing a little bit of his brokenness. Fixed an issue, hooray. Sun Wukong, pet. Kind of a theme, like I said. As for items, we've got 3 relics, 3 items, and 6 gods this patch. Kind of a shorter patch, but Sunder, when they took the actual damage off of it, it became pretty much useless. There was a test done a while back as when Sunder was OP, wondering why Sunder was OP, or explaining it, I guess, not wondering. And it was basically because the burst damage from it early on was not something that you expected. It did like 200 damage or something. And that's 200 damage that when you're fighting a god, if you don't realize they have Sunder, you're not expecting. And so they can easily just completely drain your health bar and you won't even know why. Well, you'd know why, but only after it happened. So it needs a buff because no one's playing with it. You don't buy it. You could buy it for late game and initiation factor, but you're only going to get one target out of it, and you're usually going to throw a lot at that one target. And whoever you Sunder is going to become predictable who you're going to go on, and the other team can just play around that, and it's a very hard thing to use right now effectively. So it needs to be buffed. I don't think this is the right buff, but at least they're looking at it. So 160 to 40, or 160 to 140, not all the way to 40. Sprint was too good. It was really hard to play around. 40% was too much of a movement speed buff when you were running away from someone and they popped sprint. They would catch up to you almost immediately. There was nothing you could do about it unless you had your own sprint. Even if you horrific emblemed them, they just immuned it with their sprint. There was the chase down potential and the runaway potential as well. If you were chasing someone and they popped a sprint and you didn't have one, it basically meant they were out. It didn't matter if you had a dash. It didn't matter if they didn't have a dash or a jump. They were out. So just toning that down a little bit for both farms. Good. Shell got out of hand. They changed it. Instead of giving protections, it actually gives you a shield. And that did too much. I think there was a game in the recent relegations where there were 6 shells, I think. There may have been 5 a couple of games, but I think there was at least one game where there were 6 shells. And that's not okay. So they're just lowering it. 15 to 12 per level, so late game it won't do as much. Early game, like level 1 and 2, like where duo lane will get the most use out of it early game. It's not really going to change. I think supports will still pick it up, but like the jungler or solo laner won't pick it up as much anymore. I personally am still a fan of the teleport solo lane. I know that's not it's not really meta, and I understand why it's not meta, but I'm a fan of it. I like it. It's still what I go when I go solo lane, and I do just fine with it. I'm not at like a super high level. I'm still in casuals actually, but almost out, almost getting to ranked. And then the upgrade, just the same changes. That's good. You still get the block stacks. Shaman's Ring was changed. It had an interesting thing put onto it with the evolve mechanic. So I don't think they want to change it too much as people still get used to that. But it was, for the gods that wanted it, it was not viable because it had such low power. But it wasn't like the worst item. So instead of just giving it 20 power, which it needed, they also increased it by 100 gold, which is fine. 100 power for, or 100 gold for 20 power is fine. If that was an item in and of itself, every mid laner would start with it without question. So just a good trade there. And just kind of a bug fix. Only damaging abilities proc it now. So Talkine's Ring. This is a pretty big change. 300 gold is not a small amount of gold, especially for not any actual like stat changes. It even just kind of got better for players who had dot effects. So just a buff. It wasn't a weak item. I think this will make it quite strong. It was kind of not picked up as much as the other rings, like Demonic. Demonic is, I think, still the best ring in that tree, but this'll help. Dynasty Plate Helm was a favorite for mid laners at the beginning of Season 4. It has fallen off because of the change to Book of Thoth 2, the second tier of that, where you can get it early, and so mages are just going straight burst damage. They're not messing around with any protections or anything like that. Until maybe late game they'll pick up like a Magi's, but this is a good change. I think still that it'll be a pickup for, like, if you have a physical mid laner and a physical jungle, you could pick this up and you will do very well. I think it's for people who are behind. If their other jungler is ahead, you can pick this up and make them less effective. And I don't think it'll be picked up by the mid laner who's ahead, unless it becomes like a staple item again. But if picking this up, if the other mid laner does not pick it up, will put you behind in damage. And I don't think, unless the other mage also picks it up, because then you're not behind. Unless the other mid laner picks it up, I don't think that you can really do this. If you're playing like a burst mage, like a Ra or a Zeus, well, Zeus does fine with this. A Ra or a Thoth or a Scylla. But yeah, interesting change. I think it will make it a much, well, I know it'll make it a much better item. I don't know if it'll change how mid laners play. Right now they're focused almost entirely on burst. I don't know if this is going to change that. It might. We'll see. As for god changes, I said last patch that Ardio got nerfs. She needed nerfs, but she didn't need the ones that she got. They were in the wrong areas. I think these ones are in the right areas. I think this will put her in a very good position, not overpowered, but quite strong still, in the top 10 for supports, probably top 5. But I think it'll take her out of the jungle. I don't think she'll be good in jungle, and probably not solo, with what's happening in the solo meta right now. But we'll see how solo meta evolves. Decreased magical power scaling from 35 to 30. Guardians traditionally have high base damage and lower scaling. Just lowering your scaling is fine. Decreasing the base damage, I think, is actually what the bigger change to this one. I think this change actually is part of why she'll be taken out of the jungle, because you build high power items in the jungle, right? Um, this her level 1 clear with this hitting twice, and then the one also hitting at least 3 of the minions was too good. 100 damage is a bit much for a Guardian. Fafnir, I think I have. Fafnir's probably close. I think he's 90 damage, if I remember his most recent nerf. Level 1, of course. So just reducing that the whole game just by 10 is pretty good. 20 technically since it hits twice, but I like it. The big one here is the decrease the slow. It ticks 5 times, and the slow per stack, I think the stacks were maxing at 5, is the max slow was 100% if you hit all 5. And so the root at the end didn't really do anything except for extend it. But the slow was what did people in. If they were running away and you caught people with that at the very max range, by the time you were done with it, you were right up next to them. It was a bit too strong. And then the self-healing from it, also a bit too strong. If you were in trouble and you didn't have your dash up for some reason, you could just throw this on a wave and heal for a decent amount of health until your dash came back up, and then just leave. Sustain just a little bit too strong, even though it's just her sustain. They didn't change her sustain here, so. And I think that's her one druid form should be her sustain option. So I like this. Chronos, very good. Magical ADCs are extraordinarily good right now. The Freya buff that put her in the first ban position. If she wasn't banned, you obviously picked Freya. If she was banned, you just picked Chronos, and you were almost as good. Quite strong. These changes aren't mind-bogglingly large, but they will change him. This one here, Time Rift, won't do a whole lot. 85 to 80 scaling isn't a ton, but he usually builds 300 power in a game plus his passive. I think this probably is more based on his passive changing, where he gets more power. So they just have to lower the scaling, so this does the equivalent amount of damage as it did before. But decent change, nothing huge, but this is the bigger one-ish. With the removal of his Fatalis effect, people didn't use his 4 as much anymore. It used to be the only thing that was viable on his wheel in a team fight. But I think people are using his 3 a lot more, because they're building a more burst mage instead of auto attack focused. But this allowed him to shred towers at an insanely fast rate. Right before your first fire giant fight, if he stayed in lane for one wave extra than the opposite ADC, he could 100% to 0 the tower and still rotate fast enough to the team fight because of how fast he took the tower, because of this. So I think that'll eliminate that. I think he'll have to rotate a little bit sooner if he wants to make as big an impact. So good change. I think it puts him in line with some of the other hunters in terms of tower push. Kukulane is the only thing in this patch that I have no idea why they did it. He is overperforming. They said in the VOD that he's middle of the pack. That's not necessarily true. I think that is true only because the numbers they look at are not for the top level only, and I don't think they should be. Let me point that out. But I think that quite a few people who are playing him still don't know how to play warriors, or him specifically, as they're just trying to play the new god, and not doing very well with him. I think he was too good, and I think he needed a small nerf, but instead they gave him a small buff. It's nothing crazy. If you have 40% healing reduction on someone, they're going to try to avoid healing anyways, so changing it to 50 isn't a huge deal. I just don't understand why they buffed him. But Khepri, this should probably be in the bug fix section, but his ult had a 0.1 second casting time. So sometimes you would try to ult someone, your entire animation would go off, and then they would die, and they would actually die. They wouldn't get rezzed because of the 0.1 seconds where you cast the ability and it doesn't actually cast. I myself have been yelled at by someone because I'll say to them, I have Khepri res, go in, and I will use it on them, but they will die too fast, and it won't actually proc. It'll do the whole animation, but it won't actually res them. So this is a good change, good bug fix, but I think it should be in the bug fix section. Scotty. She was nerfed a while back. Calder got a nerf. Well, technically, the ult is all that got a nerf. Her 2 didn't, but people stopped playing her because it wasn't as easy to one-shot people without them being able to do anything about it. But she was still very strong, and she proved that in the most recent relegations. She was played in quite a few games. She was first picked a couple times. She was banned in the first stage a couple times. And I think she lost 1 game. I think she won like 4 games and lost 1. Obviously, that depends on the team and who's playing her and all that, but she was extremely strong, even in the game she lost. Permafrost, I think, is a bad ability to have in the game, but it's there. I was watching a Zapman stream the other day, and he took 1,827 damage from one cycle of Permafrost, one use of it, which is too much damage from any single non-ult ability in the game. Thoth ult does 1,800. Permafrost with, I mean, the thing is like the size of 2 lanes. It's huge, it's unmissable, and it causes a huge disruption in a team fight, and that's what it should be used for. It should not be used for damage. So lowering the damage on it, fantastic. I don't think this is enough, but we'll see. Movement speed buff, also a great change. Her level 2 fight was so much better than any other hunter because she could level her 1 and her 3, and she just gets her 2 for free because she's Scotty. And nobody has boots, right? So everyone's pretty slow, but if she stepped on her ice, she became the fastest person in the game. Her rundown potential was too good. Her runaway potential was too good. Even though she didn't have a dash, she was considered immobile because of that, but she was not immobile. And then just leaving base early game, she'll have to put levels in it if she wants to get back to lane as fast as she has been. Susano got changed a while back. His passive got changed, which made him, according to some, unplayable. I think he isn't terrible, but he's definitely not high-level jungler anymore. Increased his base movement speed from 365 to 370. I think that's a bigger change than people are giving it credit for, because there's a lot of movement speed items in the game, and of course movement speed items are percentage based, and so increasing the base is going to increase the benefit from the items by more. So good change. He's not going to be like unrunawayable, if that's a word that I'm going to use, and it is. Like he was with his old passive. If he had 4 abilities on cooldown, he just couldn't run away from him. And Wind Siphon, 18 seconds is a very long cooldown. It's the same as Athena Taunt which is known by supports as having a terrible cooldown. It's a super long cooldown, especially since it's only CC. But 18 seconds is too long for a CC of an ability, in my opinion. So just lowering that to 16 seconds. I think it's a good change. All in all, good changes, except for this. But whatever for that. Yeah, that's going to be 4.16. Summer Knockout. Have a good day.